Hello. I'm just giving you a 2-minute warning, so find whatever approximates a chair and sit in it. Take care. Hello. I'm back. I'm back. All right. Welcome to, my name's David Curry. I'm with the Writers Festival. And I want to welcome you to a night of poetry, prizes, music. It's like if the Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys, and the pilot that follows the Super Bowl all got wrapped into one and twice as long. All right, so we're going to begin just shortly when I hand this over to Amanda, but I think it needs to be said that we are gathered on the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people, the true guardians of this land from time immemorial, and also with you and with thy spirit. Words are losing all their meaning. Earlier this year, the King of England, the signatory of all the treaties and the laws governing colonialization, acknowledged that this land is unceded and unsurrendered. It was stolen. He acknowledged that it was stolen by him. He's the guy who stole it. I know, I spoke with quite a few Indigenous lawyers and activists after this happened, and there was hope in that moment. And a few moments later as well, when he proclaimed that free prior and informed consent was the decree of the land. And there was hope. But then 2 days later, the government of Canada announced large-scale, big national projects, because the history of those is not fraught. And so we continue to displace Indigenous people again and for time immemorial. So what can we do? And at the festival, we always say that you can buy books, you can read from Indigenous authors, and that is how we hope that we can take a step towards meaning and a walk towards truth, and we can foster that love of Indigenous literature. But this month in particular, you can visit incredible Indigenous authors at the festival, like Tracy Lindbergh, Brian Thomas Isaac, and Quill Christie Peters. For those of you who don't know Quill Christie Peters, she's doing this incredible work today of blending the struggle and solidarity movement with for Indigenous sovereignty, Palestinian sovereignty, women's bodily autonomy, and anti-capitalist care work. She's incredible. She's opening the festival. It is just an incredible opportunity that you have to come see her. We're actually giving away free tickets. So if there's a financial issue with coming, we have a scavenger hunt. You just go to all the local bookstores, you get 2 free tickets, and you can go see Quill Christie Peters. So that's my land acknowledgement, and I'd like to welcome Amanda Earle to start off what is truly going to be a beautiful show. Take care.
Thanks, David. Well, I've already broken the microphone. Sorry. Okay, that's better. Yeah. So tomorrow is my 62nd birthday. So yeah. Tonight I'm definitely in the mood to celebrate. All right. Welcome to the 22nd annual Bywords John Newlove Poetry Award. Thanks to the Ottawa International Writers Festival for all that they do and for hosting us again this year. Thanks to the audience members who are here and watching at home. So yes, I can't think of a better way to celebrate than being here. Thank you to the City of Ottawa for continuing to fund Bywords. Their support is vital, and a big thank you to the Bywords Selection Committee for voting all year on the poems. Tonight's award celebrates the poetry of John Newlove, a renowned Canadian poet who lived in Ottawa for the last 20 years of his life and died in December of 2003, which is the year we started bywords.ca. We have a tradition of reading his poetry during this award. I always start reading with Then If I Cease Desiring from his first collection, Moving and Alone, which was published by Contact Press in 1965. Then if I cease desiring, you may sing a song of how young I was. You may praise famous moments, all have them, of the churches I broke into for wine. Not praise the highways I traveled drunkenly in winter, the cars I stole. You may allow me moments, not monuments, I being content. It is little, but it is little enough. Since the first time in 2004, we've always opened each Newlove Award ceremony with music by local musicians. We've actually hosted, including tonight, will be 17 musicians over the 22 years of the awards. So our musician tonight is Benoit Christie. Benoit is a strange poetic nerd who loves writing music. He has been performing on his own and with friends in various formations for 20 years or so. He writes about silliness, anguish, and the uncanny state of being human. Oh, I know what's going on here. I'm sorry, Mike. I don't have my glasses on. I'm going, why is it so hard to read this? I apologize. 62 tomorrow, what can I say? Okay. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, the uncanny state of being human, a human being on planet Earth. An active dreamer, a chess fiend, and proud math and history geek, he works to express whatever strange and surprising images accost him unexpectedly, whether it's in deliberate composition or off-the-cuff song, improvisations from audience suggestions. Benoit writes songs and poetry, dances like Elaine in Seinfeld, and paints and draws with the childish glee of an eternal neophyte. You can find some of his older releases on Bandcamp if you wish. Please welcome my dear friend, Benoit Christie.
Good reminder that a bio is sometimes something that is read out loud and not just written on a website or an event page. Hi, everyone. Thanks to Amanda for inviting me to play. Thanks also to the Writers Festival and everyone at Saw Gallery. And I have to say, the sound tech quality here is just phenomenal, so thank you guys for that as well. I'm just going to quickly play a couple songs. These are songs about, what was it, the strange state of being a human being on planet Earth and anguish and silliness and stuff like that. Is that what I said? This one is called Sweetheart. Sweetheart is a song that I actually wrote to myself. Just want a quick show of hands or noises. Anyone here a nervous person? Anyone a nervous person here at all? Anyone nervous about putting their hands up? Yeah, you don't have to say anything about that. That's fine. Anyone hard on themselves? Anyone hard on themselves here? Okay. Yeah. So I wrote this song to me. I'm referring to myself as Sweetheart. It could just as well be to important people in my life that I feel like I haven't lived up to my own standards for. But usually that starts at home, right? So it's like, sorry, the home of the self. I'm not making a comment about my parents. They did their best. So this is Sweetheart, and it's a song to myself, and it goes like this. If I ever made a real bad decision, one that might have put you in a bind, no matter what good thing I thought I was chasing, I'm sorry I paid you no mind. I could make a castle out of excuses, build the walls out of water and sand, but those things never hold over pressure or time like the ones you can hold in your hand. Sweetheart, I need to be honest, 'cause ours is a life that we'll spend together and never not flawless or perfect. And I think we could both use a friend. If I ever made you feel that I wasn't listening, you got the sense you didn't belong, well, I could string a long chain of words to explain, but all I ever would be is wrong. You can always count on me to be rush calculating, crunching all the numbers to dust. But somewhere along this path that I've charted, one of us forgot how to trust. Sweetheart, I need to be brave here, 'cause I put you into a jar where the light and the weather keep changing around you, but nobody knows where you are. Sweetheart, please don't turn away. Don't tell me this is pretend. Of all the things in my life that I'm so unsure of, I know we could both use a friend. And I want to believe in strange UFOs that follow us around, oh, wherever we go. They root for our causes and push us along. But till they show up, I'll keep singing. If I ever made a decent decision, it's 'cause I listened to what you had to say. And for the times that I didn't, the ones I can't take back, sorry I stood in your way. I wanna walk that strange path together, tracing ley lines between water and sand. I know it won't last anything like forever, but I'll give it all that I can, all that I can, ooh, 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 all that I can, ooh, ooh, ooh. If you feel like singing, please sing this. Can, ooh, 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 all that I can, ooh, 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 all that I can. Never not flawless or perfect. I think we could both use a friend. I have a terrible habit of crying while I perform. haven't found a cure. Okay, so this is a bit of a change of pace. This is a song, this is called Rubber Leg. This is about feeling totally lost and powerless. And, you know, as alluded to, we're living in an extremely chaotic, uncomfortable, terrifying, painful, strange time in many ways. And, of course, there's beauty and sweetness to be found, but, you know, it's hard to know where you are sometimes. It's like I only had one leg to stand on. Should have taken myself out the fray. Wouldn't say that my life's been demanding. Mostly I just get in my own way. Well, of course you would, of course you'd say that. Got some trouble under the hat. Keep omitting what you're pursuing. Don't you see that I see what you're doing? Of course you would not look away. You do it a lot. Well, I don't think you're totally unaware. You're falling everywhere. You're so attentive. Mentally, I am light years behind you. Though I try to play it off like a game. All alone where the darkness can find you. You pretend you don't know your own name. Well, of course you would, of course you'd forget. Turns the summer into regret. There's a fire burning and crying. Don't you see that I see that you're trying? Of course you would not. Ashes into the pot. Well, going crazy, pulling out all your hairs. They're falling everywhere. I savor, yeah, I'm looking for that flavor, and I'm trying to score something more near the core of my behavior. There's a fight you can win without trying. There's a portal that's never too far. There's a place you can always escape to. But you gotta forget who you are. Oh, I don't wanna be anyone's punching bag, even if that someone is me. Standing up on two legs is demanding. Well, what do I mean? Well, what do I mean? Well, we'll see. Thanks, everyone. I'll be back shortly, but please enjoy all the poetry, everything that's shared tonight. We're in for a treat. We're so lucky, and thanks all for being here.
Thanks very much, Benoit. And Benoit, as he said, will be back at the end of our the first part of the show, the Newlove Award. So we'll get back to the poetry part, although the music is also poetry. So the winner of the John Newlove Poetry Award has the opportunity to have a chapbook published with Bywords. In January of each year, the winner provides Bywords with a draft manuscript, and somehow magically by October, the manuscript becomes a chapbook, which is launched at the festival, at the Ottawa International Writers Festival, as part of the John Newlove Poetry Award reading. Thank you to this year's editors, Kuna Zero and Jade Reardon. Tonight, Michaela Smith, last year's award recipient, will be launching their chapbook, which is After All This Hurt. We have copies here, of course. Michaela Smith is a researcher, poet, and editor based on the traditional territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe in Ottawa, Ontario. Their novelette in verse, Seed Beetle, is available from Stelliform Press. And I think they probably have copies with them tonight, too. Their recent chapbooks include Water Kin and Enter the Hyperreal. You can find their work on their website at michaelasmith.ca. The chapbook will also be available later on the bywords.ca store, and also will make the chapbooks available as PDFs. So please welcome Michaela Smith.
All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming. What an amazingly packed house. This is so exciting. As we have been doing, I will start my reading with a poem by John Newlove. I am going to be reading a poem called Dream from the Fat Man collection. I also read a poem called Dream from the Fat Man collection last year, but this is a different poem. I think John Newlove and I just have a similar subconscious. Anyway, Dream. The lone figure leans in the snow. A rifle is stuck beside him. One hand is on it. He waits an approaching figure. He will decide when it comes to kill or to run. It is the white center of the world. His reason squats in. I chose this poem because I think it has a lot of similar themes as my new chapbook, After All This Hurt, which is a narrative collection of fungal horror poems that explores a lot of survival in winter landscapes. And I'm going to be reading 7 poems altogether with a background track by the artist Toyota Corolla 2003. So, go ahead, Ryan. In the wake of this decay, the lake blooms with gasoline seams. Flames catch on islands of lard and lint. The art of this place disintegrates. Microfungi take over our limbs, our obligations. Contamination, like breathing, pinches our nerves unbidden. Passenger, new growth, infection. Let in the air, please. Indoors becomes intoxicating. Spores suffocate the familiar world, clinging to ceiling fans, attracted to light. Rooms spin at neuralgic speeds, hands slip in punch bowls, broken glass slicing open palms. Stumble through brimming corridors and crowded hospital waiting rooms, through uneven stitches to staunch the bleeding, through beds behind closed doors calling out for anyone. A warning passes through message boards, sidewalk chalk, graffiti on homes, whispered by those fearing it is already too late. A last request, please, stay outside. Time to leave. I collect the objects I think I will need as swiftly as I can. Socks and matches, thick clothing and a waterproof coat. Gloves and dried food. I hold my breath, passing from bedroom to pantry. I will not breathe the spores of recent infection, scattered from shared ventilation, entwining the entire building. I get out quickly, hoping I've done enough. After all this hurt, the medicine of winter comes in deep, memory-numbing snowdrifts. Turn toward the present moment, the warm blanket of deep sleep, storage lockers picked clean and buried. I bottle icicle drops, hunt for near-dry sticks and fallen branches, enough to kindle. Erase my shadow beneath yew trees. My footprints barely break snow crust, and in a minute are erased too. Underneath the surface, my reflection looks back from the pockmarked glass of muddy ice. I touch tattooed dark lines in my skin, splintered and runic. A face both new and heartrending. I scrape hard-packed snow against my cheeks. The markings stay, trapped beneath the surface. I did not escape in time. Tendrils of the aggressive microfungi weave new internal networks. I had hoped to walk towards the next town or the next, to find somewhere the hyphae lost. I condemn myself to solitude, to wait to die where no one can breathe these poisonous spores smaller than dust. A place to rest. The river splits around a fallen trunk, white water wavering and dipping. The shore is bordered with snow-capped stones, spilling down to ripple the riverbed. Like me, the trees around are slivered with rot. Gaping black cavities expose cross-sections of years turned to pulp, the growth of centuries lost to parasite. I press a finger into decaying sapwood, tawny splinters sticking to my finger pad. The water crashes, then whispers, repeating its unending trek, bound to the coast of chronic snow. I dig my nails into the wood and feel no needling in my nail bed. Beyond the path. New footprints cut the snow beside the river. I kick them away, pulling a branch along the ground behind me. I keep my eyes down, looking at plastic wrappers, picking up a silver coin. I am armed with this branch, my bottle, and a wand of broken glass. I am strong and fast, unless the infection freezes me at the moment of attack. I walk as long as the light remains, a path of obscure curves to conceal my rock ledge. After all this loss, you did find me, invader, intruder. You watched me sleep under my hoard of dried leaves and feathers, clutching my collection of water and weapons. Hi. The fungi hold my mind at the fore of sleep. They wring me awake and standing. I hiss, hold tightening on my cutting glass. Who are you? I'm here to help. I don't want your help. It doesn't matter. I don't need your permission. You descend my hill, controlled slide down buried sandstone and sycamore branches. Now what? What are these? You point to the ground, to my collection of necklaces, gold leaf teacups, and leather-bound books stuck in the dirt. Souvenirs? What's worth remember? Enough.
Thank you, Mahela. That was wonderful. Again, the chapbooks will be available here from me and Charles at the front, or on the bywords.ca site down the line. Okay. Poems considered for this year's John Newlove Poetry Award were published between September 2024 and August 2025 and chosen by our selection committee. Our judge for this year's award was Toronto poet Concetta Principe. Our first honorable mention is a Chinese-Canadian writer, poet, economist, and developer. Find his writing published or forthcoming in Nightmare Magazine, Small Wonders, and Strange Horizons, among other venues. For his poem Rocket Feet, published in Bywords.ca in June 2025, Ian Lee receives an honorable mention for the John Newlove Poetry Award. Ian is in Toronto, and I hope he's watching tonight or on the recorded video, but I will read his poem. Congratulations, Ian. Rocket Feet. In the endless emptiness of summer break, I slip out to McNabb's skate park, where older kids dangle feet off quarter ramps, cold sodas buzzing in their hands, caps turned backwards, listening to skateboards rattling on crumbling asphalt, the frenetic drumbeat of juvenile freedom. Eyes gravitate to a newcomer, oversized tee, billowing on a lanky frame, cutting across the park with long, joyous strides, like a ballerina's saut de chat leaps. He flips off a flat rail propelled by his rocket feet, and his shadow shrinks as he shrugs off gravity, spacewalking for one ponderous heartbeat. Time only remembers itself when his feet clap the ground. And Ian has chosen God Bless the Bear, which I think is one of our most popular choices for this. So I will read God Bless the Bear by John Newlove. How many of them die of old age? They die of the tension of not knowing, the apprehension. Fear sits in their guts, thus the courage, the quickness, the shoeness of a deer asking, "Are you my death?" The gopher taking one last look. I want to know what my death looks like, no matter how fast it comes. Or the bear, God bless the bear, arthritic as me, doing its death clown act on two legs, ready to embrace, saying, "I'm just you in funny clothes. Your clothes are funny too. Let's wrestle, my little man, my little son, my little death, my brother." Our second honorable mention began writing poetry to get the inside out and process the world around her. Originally from Manitoba, she now lives on a small farm near Ottawa with her partner, their dog, 2 cats, and a spoiled flock of chickens. For her poem, Nulliparis, published in Bywords.ca January 2025, Laura Hébert is the recipient of an honorable mention. Please welcome Laura Hébert. I get to also give them their checks and their certificates and the books too, so it's always good. Here you go.
Thank you.
Welcome, thank you.
Hi, everyone. So thank you, Amanda. Thank you, everyone. I'm so honored to be part of this and be alongside all these talented people. My poem is called Nulliparis. Perhaps instead of motherhood, give me a flock of chickens. I will feed them watermelon and name them sister, protect them from hawks, and go to sleep on time. Let my worries simmer in me only, my mistakes remain my own. Give me the brackish in-between of other people's children so I can doubt. Glossy family moments to make me heartsick. Let some little one parrot my words, reflect myself back to me, so I too, for a moment, can flush with shame, delight. Let me feel the grief, overwhelm me with it some days, and I will carry it with me, bundled in a small silk pouch, alongside other might-have-beens and nagging questions. Always, I will be rummaging for meaning, and on the days I am craving, let me nurture instead, stray cats and sickly birds and an herb garden. Let me write stories not meant for children. Give me nights where I eat only a pickle and some crackers, and maybe a peach. Next, I'll read Driving by John Newlove. You never say anything in your letters. You say, I drove all night long through the snow in someone else's car, and the heater wouldn't work, and I nearly froze. But I know that. I live in this country too. I know how beautiful it is at night, with the white snow banked in the moonlight. Around black trees and tangled bushes, how lonely and lovely that driving is, how deadly.
You become the country. You are by yourself in that channel of snow and pines, whether the pines and snow flow backwards smoothly, whether you drive or you stop or you walk or you sit. This land waits. It watches. How beautifully desolate our country is out of the snug cities, and how it fits a human. You say you drove. It doesn't matter to me. All I can see is the silent, cold car gliding, walled in, your face smooth, your mind empty, cold foot on the pedal, cold hands on the wheel.
Thank you, Laura. It's funny, I always forget how much fun this is, but it's really fun. It's really fun. I can't really see you at all, but I hope you're having fun too. Okay. The John Newlove Poetry Award is now in its 22nd year, would you believe? Okay. The judges for the John Newlove Poetry Award have been Gary Hyland, Stuart Ross, Aaron Murray, George Elliott Clark, George Bowering, Stephanie Bolster, Jason Camlott, A. Rawlings, Gary Barwin, Alice Burdick, Camille Martin, Matthew Rader, Kimmy Beach, Jillian C., Gregory Betts, Tanis McDonald, Dina Del Bucchia, Ellie Crowley Gardner, Jacqueline Valencia, Ariel Gordon, Jim Johnstone, and Conchetta Principe. The winners have been Norma Elliott, Melissa Upfold, Roland Prevost, Sean Moreland, Rob Friday, Marcus McCann, Winter Feddick, Rob McLennan, Jenna Jarvis, Rob Thomas, Matthew Walsh, Ronald Seater, Andrew Lafleche, Doris Fisher, Thomas Wisniewski, David Grew, Megan Mistal, Richard Eve Satoski, Rachel Small, Natty Samuel, and Mihaela Smith. And now for the 2025 award. The recipient of this year's award is a lapsed creative nonfiction writer who lives in Ottawa's South End, across a field from Sawmill Creek and its path, a place of walking pleasure and inspiration. She retired from office work 2 weeks after the start of the pandemic and launched her poetry writing life later that year when Bywords published Hope Escapes, her first published poem. Prior to the pandemic, she wrote mostly fiction and nonfiction, but found that writing poetry about small daily experiences during the long pause kept her grounded. Some of her fiction, personal essays, and poetry have appeared in the New Quarterly, Existere, the Globe and Mail, Flow, and of course, Bywords.ca. Over the years, her writing has been supported by members of Rick Taylor's Writers' Workshop, the Asses and Chairs Writing Group, one of the best writing group names I've heard, Jana Klosterman, Sharon Hamilton, Catherine Racine, her good friend and brilliant essayist Melissa Bayard, and her husband Chris Carton. She is honored to receive the John Newlove Poetry Award. This year's judge, Conchetta Principe, wrote the following about the winning poem. Bitter angst and dark irony riddle this poem, and the poem knows it. This is why the twist of something tender at the end is so welcome. For her poem, The Right Kind of Unctuous Cream, published in Bywords.ca September 2024, Suzanne Fletcher is the recipient of the 2025 John Newlove Poetry Award. Please welcome Suzanne Fletcher.
Right. There we go. Yes, wow. That was very nice. Thank you, Amanda. And thank you, Conchetta Principe, for selecting my poem, The Right Kind of Unctuous Cream, for this year's John Newlove Poetry Award. I'm honored and delighted that this poem is linked with Newlove's name and his craft, and about poetry about which Margaret Atwood said, his poetry delivered a blow to the head then, and it does now. It will be seen for what it was and is, major in its time and place. So humbling. I also want to thank all the volunteers who read for Bywords. I want to thank especially Amanda Earle for keeping the light on in the Bywords window, and the John Newlove Poetry Award with her dedicated ongoing volunteerism in the service of Ottawa poets. I think this award must be the best kind to receive because I didn't know I was in a contest. I didn't anticipate winning, nor did I feel that I would probably lose. I didn't experience imposter syndrome or worry that I'm not worthy, though I admit to feeling those feelings now. The experience of having Amanda tell me I had won was like winning a lottery for which I hadn't bought a ticket. Among the thank yous I have to offer tonight, the first goes, strangely enough, to an anthology of poetry, which I found in my high school library in 1974. I imagine many writers' origin stories begin in libraries. I was leaning on a shelf holding a small collection of poetry when I spotted the book 15 Canadian Poets. Behind me was a floor-to-ceiling window overlooking a treed courtyard in the center of George P. Vanier Senior Secondary School in Courtenay on Vancouver Island. And the courtyard was populated by the cool kids, milling about, talking, eating lunch, smoking, and flirting. The poetry shelf was perpendicular to the window and about 4 feet away from where I stood. I angled my body so that nobody would see what I was reading. Why anybody would care, but I was a teenager. I was reading from The Hazel Bough by Earl Burney for the 3rd time, and each time I read it, I gasped. I looked up from the page and saw a young woman I recognized as someone in grade 12, and therefore superior to me in grade 11. She was holding a clipboard. She asked, "Would you mind answering a confidential survey I'm doing for social studies about sex?" I couldn't escape. Behind me was the window and the cool kids. In front, this awful clipboard-carrying surveyor. I had nothing to say. I did not have a boyfriend, and I certainly hadn't had any sex. Nevertheless, I said yes and endured 5 minutes of gut-clenching embarrassment. So my first encounter with a poem that got inside my esophagus was mixed with this awkward moment, sex and shame. Anyway, from The Hazel Bough, I would really love to read that to you. My first love poem, or poem I fell in love with. I met a lady on a lazy street, hazel eyes and little plush feet. Her legs swam by like lovely trout. Eyes were trees where boys leant out. Hands in the dark and a riverside, round breasts rising with the fingers tied. She was plump as a finch and live as a salmon, gay as silk and proud as a Brahmin. We winked when we met and laughed when we parted and never took time to be broken-hearted. But no man sees where the trout lie now or what leans out from the hazel bough. So that's my love of poetry origin story. A writer named Joel in the workshop I mentioned, run by Rick Taylor, said that writing had made him a better human. I thought he was being melodramatic. Obviously, I wasn't a better human when I heard those words. In the less than 10 years that I claimed the occupation or preoccupation writer, I've met a diverse support group of fellow writers. In this group, I have learned how to nurture the atoms of ideas, to listen carefully, to suggest without diminishing, to read with curiosity, warmth, and goodwill. These lovely women are Melissa Ballard of Oberlin, Ohio, Jana Klosterman of Calgary, Sharon Hamilton and Catherine Racine, both of Ottawa. A poet could not wish for a finer community. They are helping me make me a better human being and a better writer. And I thank Rick Taylor and his workshop for starting me on my way. My biggest supporter and fan is my husband and editor, Chris Carton. He helps me rise above my petty anxieties and pushes me to reach out over and over. I love you. Now to a reading by John Newlove. It's called Like an Eel, and it will be obvious why I chose this in a minute. Hunting after myself in slightly used poems is a heartbreaking chore. The past is a foreign country, and the quarry is sly and elusive. A liar twisting and twisting about the words like an eel on a spear, dying, never to be known. I receive a poem every day in my inbox from Rattle. I enjoy reading the poems, but always what piques my interest and curiosity are the blurbs from the poets following their poems, in which they try to explain why they write poetry. Almost every one of them I can identify with. I'm not sure what that says about me. But here's one that came via the Rattle Rabbit Hole by Jeff Worley. One reason I write poems is because, as the saying goes, one life is not enough. Poets are allowed to, required to really, invent other selves to tell stories that may or may not be autobiographical. So here's the poem that Conchetta Principe liked and which brought me here tonight. And it's called The Right Kind of Unctuous Cream. I used to be an eel, thin and sinuous as sin. I used to court love and carpet burns, on knees as raw as sex. I used to pursue truculent encounters, mirrors of myself, swiveling on bar stools, in motel rooms, concave beds entangled in threadbare sheets, bleached within an inch of death. I used to gaze in mirrors for an angular vision, solid lines, someone, something, God, anything to believe in. A vision of the future, the past, now, craving a common beauty like tin, something to buckle under, drown in, not this stagnant stream of consciousness called living. I used to think if only I found the right kind of unctuous cream, a film to apply between me and the mirror, I would take a less savage view of myself, see someone like spring grass, tender, familiar, emergent. Last thing I want to say is a big shout out to my friends and family who came out tonight. Your presence means everything. Thank you again, Bywords, for this incredible honor. Enjoy the rest of the evening, everybody.
Thank you, Suzanne, and I look forward to working with Suzanne next year on her chapbook as well. It's funny how so much of what we do, not just with Bywords, but with the poetry and with literary community, is about friendship. So on that note, I welcome back the musician of the evening and a dear friend, Benoit Christie.
Thank you, Amanda. And wow, what fun. I'm really enjoying this. And I'm really glad, Suzanne, you've found someone to help you with your, what did you say, petty anxieties? I'm glad you found your dear spouse. I guess I missed the boat on that one, but I'll keep trying. What I'd like to do with you all now is I would love to write or come up with a concept for a song together. And I was thinking maybe you all could supply me with ideas of, things that maybe terrify you or things that you're scared of. This doesn't have to be like deep life-altering fear, but like even things maybe you avoid or something like that. And I'll try to write a song with that. So unless I have the very bad luck of finding the first audience that has no fears at all, please feel free to call out. Is someone putting their hand up at the back? You don't have to put your hand up. You can just call it out. Oh, a friend that turns their back on you? That's a cutting. I love that. I mean, I don't, obviously, but I can use that. I'll take two other ideas. Spiders? Okay, okay. I like how this is like thematically very different. This is fun. And anyone else have a flavor they want to throw in? Online dating. Ooh, online dating. You in the trenches right now? It's yeah. I heard it hasn't got any better. That's all I know. Online dating, spiders, a friend that turns their back on you. Okay. There's a story here. That's the good thing. Is there's always a story here. I was new in town, just a little guy, trying to meet some people, trying to meet some flies, just an arthropod with 6 little legs. How'd I learn to sing? Well, the question begs itself. I am just a little insect crawling around on the ground. I've lost all my close friends, none of them to be found. I am so alone, so I'll try online dating, but I cannot find no one's participating. Swiping left on insect Tinder, now man, I'm coming up dry. Nobody in their profile advertises wanting a fly. They all want to meet mosquitoes, or maybe some ladybugs. Oh, I'm not gonna make it, oh, I need some insect hugs. They feel really good, 6 arms around you, oh, it's so great. Keep on trying to meet the one, but it's getting so frustrating. Here's someone that I might meet on the web, but it's strange, it's so strange. They've got 2 extra legs. Oh, a spider baby, they swipe right on me. I don't know, but I haven't had too many hits, so I'm just gonna go meet up with them in the face of all this rejection. And I can't read their 8 eyes, I can't see their intentions, but we are slowly forming bonds, and I don't wanna leave. If you never see me again, you don't have to grieve, 'cause I have found a love that I am wrapped so deep in. Oh yeah, it feels so good. Oh, it can't be a sin. Spider love, spider love, spider love, spider love. One lonely insect has found their spider, and all it took was a hinge app for him to espy her. Ooh. Thank you. That was great. Thank you so much. Yeah, there's always a story hidden in the cracks there. I'm gonna sing now a quick song just to wrap up my little set. This is a song for quelling anxiety. I've talked a little bit about this, but I'm a nervous person, and so sometimes my heart is generous and produces ideas and songs that help me calm down a little bit, like what you're talking about, Suzanne, just like making you a better person. I owe a lot to poetry, actually. I just want to say that. Most of my songwriting today has been informed by a lot of poets in this city in particular. Some of you are in this room. So thank you all for that. And this is Quell. Sing a song to gentle all the tremors in your heart. If you want a better outside world, inside's where to start. Take apart the pieces you've collected, too heavy to pull forward. Turn them into soup and sandals and four beautiful words. I fucking love you. I fucking love you. Sing a song to gentle all the shocks inside your heart. It was short-circuited with salty water and a butter tart. I'd rather eat my meals in smiling silence or with funny friends and have my blessings laid out on the table where the river bends, the river bends. River. I'm singing just to let go of the fear inside my heart. I have so much I can be thankful for, no need to pick apart. It's just too easy to be on the outside, always looking in and glancing back towards the cameraman with a foolish grin. Yeah, I want footage I can look back on with all my friends and family. So if you have any tips to get there, I'll accept them gladly. I will. 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 I'll accept them gladly and with thanks. Thank you. Have a fantastic rest of your evening. Thank you so much for your attention and participation.
Thanks, Benoit. That was wonderful, as always. And thank you. Thanks to all the participants, to the festival volunteers and staff, to the person doing the live stream. I'm sorry I didn't get your name. To Sean Wilson and David Curry, Nick Schofield and Ryan of SAW, to the Bywords Selection Committee, and to all of you for attending. Don't forget to send your poems to bywords.ca. This year's judge is Alberta poet Tolu Oloruntoba. If you'd like a copy of Mihaela's chapbook, please talk to me afterwards. We'll also have chapbooks available at the forthcoming Ottawa Small Press Book Fair on November 22nd. Consult the bywords.ca events calendar for more information. In a few minutes, we will be treated to music and poetry performed by Domina Eliahou and the second John Newlove Poetry Award judge ever in 2005, Stuart Ross. After which, it's the Archibald Lampman Poetry Award presented by Arc Poetry Magazine. And finally, the launch of Bywords.ca selector Margo LaPierre's latest poetry collection, Ajar. This is a fine birthday eve for me. Thanks, everyone, and enjoy your evening. I love you all. Bye.
Congrats, Suzanne and Mihaela. I forget every year just how incredible the kinetic machine that Amanda has built is. She takes this incredible effort in remembering a poet we lost and infuses future generations of poets with that energy. It's just an incredibly beautiful thing, and of course it is. I mean, Amanda has been mentoring poets for, Bywords is what, 2003, right? Yeah, so for decades, just putting her effort into keeping this community alive. And you saw the passion that she has for this project in with every word she spoke on stage. It's her mission to amplify voices who haven't yet been recognized. It's incredibly beautiful. Please give a warm round of applause for a woman who needs no introduction, Amanda Earle. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and we'll be back.
can use that, eh?
Welcome back, everyone. So before we get to, all right. Before we get to the Archibald Lampman Award, we have something that is a real treat. Next up, we have something very special. It's Stuart Ross and Domina Eliahou, whose partnership I recently had the pleasure of hearing about on Writers Festival Radio. That's a plug for our podcast. I was most taken by the joy that Stuart had about this partnership, and he expressed I don't know how I was going to end that sentence. The line I really loved was that neither one of them are backing the other. They're both just contributing to the project as equals, and that was incredibly beautiful. Stuart Ross is, as you all know, a writer, editor, writing teacher, and publisher. He is the winner of the 2019 Harbourfront Festival Prize for his contributions to Canadian literature. But more personally, he is the person who told me I was a writer. And his workshop was the first event I ever attended at the festival. It was in 2003-ish. Interestingly enough, I learned on the podcast that Stuart is, in fact, the reason that any of us are here at all. He was the person who convinced Sean and the gang that a writers' festival in Ottawa was a good idea. Domina Eliahou, I know less well. But she's a talented artist who sticks her nose into every form of music. She has performed with hardcore bands and has created solo, ambient, and rock music. And I cannot wait to hear what's about to happen. Please welcome these two.
I found a chip bag. I shook it. No chips came out. I wondered if I had eaten the chips. I stood on my head and shook myself, but no chips came out. I asked the guy across from me on the subway if he ate the chips. He stood on his head and shook himself, but no chips came out. I got off at Irving Park and looked into the sky. The sky shook itself, but no chips came out. I plunged my fist into my chest. I extracted my heart. I carried it around in an empty chip bag. Admire my hat. See how it grows when you plant it in the sun. Did I say snow? Oh, how I had hoped to trace your lush remittance. In the lining of my buried trousers, I hid the scenery of my love for you. Also, an aspirin, a thought, and the act of growing up on the shores of the Volga. The rehearsal has been called off. What have we done? Every stupid person exits the stucco landscape after a few too many days, the hoarfrost clutching their scrawny ankles. Does your drink need refreshing? Is vision a possibility? Come join me on the roof and feel night's tender breeze. Wait! The tiny spider eggs have hatched in the stale drapes. See the little intellectuals march into the future. Feel the gravel and memoirs between your toes. What is dripping down the blackboards? How long from now is soon? A movie about two people, a movie about two can openers, a movie about death crawling through a supermarket, a movie about the tension between competing products, a movie about a wise turnip. A movie about silent music. A movie about books with no pages. A movie about a pill that erases memory. A movie about I can barely lift myself up out of this chair. A movie about exhaustion. A movie about walking into a wall. A movie about a porcupine that becomes sheriff in a small prairie town. A movie about an unfilled grave. A movie about dancing with my grandmother at my bar mitzvah. A movie about ashtrays. A movie about lining up at night in the cold. A movie about noses. Sitting. Just silence. The sand, a brush. Until the end, angry. A prayer. How he them not art? Forgetting the portrait. Slightly murmuring the canvas building. Even some buildings sit for a portrait. Fade white, a howl, a prayer overcrowded. They, the, and the, as though. I heard something or another about the Sermon on the Mount, and I immediately thought Ethel Merman on the Mount, and wondered if such stupid wordplay warranted a poem, and here I am in this poem. I did some research first. The Sermon on the Mount was things that Jesus said. He was sitting down. His disciples crowded around him. He said, life is just a bowl of cherries. He said, anything goes. He said, there's no business like show business. He said, you're the top. No, wait. That was Ethel Merman, who was born Ethel Zimmerman. I know that sounds Jewish, but Ethel was Dutch Reformed. Do you like the way I have divided this poem into 6-line stanzas to give it more gravitas? Serious poets divide their poems into stanzas. It would be great if this poem had 6 stanzas too. 6 stanzas of 6 lines each, but then I'd have to think of more things to say. Maybe I'll say hello to John Levy. John is a poet in Tucson, Arizona. We've never met. We became friends through our mutual friend, Michael Dennis. I wonder if John likes Ethel Merman, or if he likes Jesus. I know he likes Sid Corman. Sid Corman liked Noreen Nidecker. Hi, John. Notes on the contributors. Florence Nipoliti is the author of Filth Cap. Born in Ljubljana, Missouri, she teaches in the Humanities Department of Tom Sawyer and Friends College. Sherry Armuckus placed second in the Crad Flowers Sestina competition. She collects bees and works as a lyric poetry counselor at Placemat Forest Serviette in Crumbling Balcony, Saskatchewan. Zachary Plop Fitzhenrik is the Fiona Ashbury Chair in Postmodernism at University of Pompano Beach at Buffalo. People Goldberg are the author of 3 collections, most recently Carbohydration Nerve Ending. They live in Dog Trainer, North Carolina. Billy 79 sells insurance in Norwegia, New Zealand. I Sell Insurance is his first published poem. Sarah Tiny won the John Tiny Pre-Memorial Prize for Sonnet Preponderance Trilogy. She teaches hypermodernist poetics to pharmacology students at Puckering College and scenic Trondheim Fisticuffs. Surat Soares assembles cartoon ducks at Jimmy's Carter and Durante Polytechnic. Ezra Pound and I is the only poem he ever wrote. H. Body Kaplonsky was Dean of Opa-Lewis Nations College for 3 decades. His 17th verse collection, 17, will be published posthumously next year. Jillian Popa is a constant cloud rider at Carla Porridge House in Canada, America. This is her 3rd appearance in Opposable. Why is the deer lying dead on the highway? How did the sun wind up in the sky? Does the idea of a 3rd shoulder appeal to you? When the forest shudders, does the lake care? Is a poodle a bicycle? Who is the idiot who, when faced with the ripped out pages of Ulysses, plugged the toilet with them and denied involvement? Where do the silverfish go to dance? What is 4 apples plus 6 dead philosophers divided by 19 lawnmowers? Ethel, why the silly grin? When did the lightning destroy the weeping willow? How much is too much for one of David Bowie's molars? Who killed your ambition? Do what to the sentient ocean? Where will the television put down its roots? Can you swim? Given current circumstances, why do they insist on dressing penguins? The sheets are twisted where my feet went to sleep. The ping pong balls on my window, they're rain. I cannot reach your book, a spider's in the way. This motel looks like the deer I killed. We welcome and encourage the full and frank. Due to adverse circumstances, blah, 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 blah. You promoted the product of my underslept thinking. I cannot reach your boat, a spider's in the way. This motel looks like the rat driving my car. A pillbug scales the side of my bathtub. I cannot reach my twisted feet. Blah, 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 blah. I was never upon a pony. I was never on a pony. I was never upon a pony. I was never upon a pony. I did not choose to. I did not choose to fasten my puckered lips to the storm cloud. A splutter of smoke knocks gently on the basement door as the house creaks in pleasure. A tiny bird leans on a piano. A song escapes its beak. The bird chases it. Each rainbow fell at its own speed. The river received them in its cooling, flowing arms. The heart stretches through the night. It stretches. Look, it stretches. I was riding backwards on a train when I started to roar, and I roared till my brow erupted in flames, and everyone on the train roared with me. When I woke, or maybe when I slept, I was splayed in a rust-covered tub of swampy water, reeds poking out among my spindly corpus. I tried to let out another roar to see if the rust would roar with me, but my efforts were feckless, devoid of feck-free. What did, however, transpire was this. A flock of delicate poodle jays descended from the skylight above, their feathery coifs, I thought at first they were yarmulkes, rustling as the birds circled the tub. The poodle jay, clearly in charge, landed upon my bony, blistered knee and proceeded to declaim on a topic I found obscure, the pith of which appeared to be that I was dead. This thing of being in a rusty tub in a dank, magnificent house, I only now realized I had never seen before. This was death. A frisson of ecstasy, though it might have been grief, navigated my shattered spine, and the poodle jays roared, and I roared with them, and my train thundered to its final destination. In the expletive, I saw an expletive, naked, bestial, who, squatting upon the expletive, held his expletive in his expletives and ate of it. I said, "Is it good expletive?" "It is bitter." "Bitter," he answered, "but I like it, because it is bitter and because it is my expletive." Update on the encampment. There is an encampment within the periphery of the encampment. All necessary precautions are. Update on the encampment. There is an encampment within the periphery of the encampment. All necessary precautions are. Update on the encampment. There is an encampment within the periphery of the encampment. All necessary precautions are. All necessary precautions are. All necessary precautions are. At night, when the sky is black except for those tiny and infinite punctures, where the blinking neon from the new and improved universe next door trickles in, the artists are motionless, the artists are pacing in circles, the artists are smashing their typewriters, their pianos, their canvases, their cameras. The artists are pushing coin after coin into the potato chip dispenser, and all that comes out is already chewed bubble gum. The artists are grinding their teeth. The artists are silently smiling, eyes closed. The artists are dreaming, sleeping, flailing, wheezing. The artists are wide-eyed, watching infomercials on the television. The artists are filled with regret, with gratitude, with melancholy, with pleasure. The artists are sucking on their teeth, sucking on their thoughts, sucking on dirt-speckled lollipops on earth during last spring's excavation. And the mountains are in love with the clouds, and the mountains are in love with the moon and the stars and the snow. And they ski down one another and climb back up and ski down again and climb back up and ski down again and climb back up and ski down again and climb back up. And then they pull their scarves tight around their peaks and gather close to the fire to watch the mountains who weren't skiing perform plays by Bertolt Brecht and Lillian Hellman adapted for mountains. And wind quartet mountains slide their notes through the aspens and larches, and punk band mountains thrash against the sky, and the Stockhausen mountain introduces the bears and the elk and the deer and the squirrels below to an avant-garde maelstrom composed for the vast cold space through which the sounds move. And the planet is practicing mindfulness as it spins, 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 spins in the patient and infinite arms of the universe. A universe that's always present, a universe that always has the time of day, a spare buck in its pocket for those who need it, an extra ticket to the matinee, a universe lining up at the cash to buy a pack of Fig Newtons and a forged Picasso. Look at the tree burst from the top of my skull, so recently mown as my friends disappear. Look at my car losing control and sliding off the road into the snowy ravine as my friends disappear. Look at the drunken sky pressing its ugly belly into the fragile mountains about to collapse as my friends disappear. Look at the fine zigzag cracks forming at my ankles and spreading toward my groin as my friends disappear. Look at Saul Bass's credits for Vertigo as my friends disappear. Look at the rabbits cowering in the closet of the motor vehicle registration office as outside the air becomes filled with balloons as my friends disappear. Look at the blood leaking from this plate of vegetables as my friends disappear. Look at my father phoning me once again from the dead. He forgot to mention that he buried all the Monopoly pieces in a Seagram's bag. Look at my friends. The backs of their heads. Their brains pushing out of their ears again, their legs moving like mechanical stilts, their words spilling from their mouths like blinking neon lights as my friends disappear. Look at the remains of the plastic soldier I pretended to kill in the staircase of my high school in 1974. Look at the door lying in the center of the lawn and imagine what would happen if you opened it. Look at my grandmother's Russian accent. Look how she fries up the chicken fat. Look at her putting my grandfather's dinner on the tray in front of him as my friends disappear. Look at the crane in the distance. Smell the gasoline as you stand in front of your brother's grave. Look at the frightened boll weevil. Look at the cartoon penguin on the TV as mother lies in a coma as my friends disappear. Look at the clock. Look at the tangled hair in the comb. Look at the oil the car left on the road and how it glistens and takes on the shape of whatever you desire. Thank you. Oops.
That was cool. Give them a round of applause again. So next up, we have the 39th Archibald Lampman Award, which means it outlived Archibald Lampman by 2 years. Dark. And to present the award is Jennifer Baker, who is the outgoing, as in leaving, poetry editor of Arc magazine. She's a professor of poetry and creative writing at the University of Ottawa, a poet increasingly interested in material poetics, and someone I share a postal code with. Please welcome Jennifer Baker.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, David Curry. I'm really enjoying the night. What an incredible night of poetry and music, and it's just so nice to be together. So thank you, everyone. So as the outgoing editor, poetry editor for Arc Poetry magazine, I'm honored to announce the nominees and winner for this year's Archibald Lampman Award for an outstanding collection of English language poetry written by an author from the National Capital Region. So I would like to thank this year's jurors, Samina Banu, Jake Byrne, and Jess Hosty, for the daunting task of choosing this year's winner in a year that has seen an abundance of exceptional work in the National Capital Region. I'll introduce this year's nominated books, and I will read the jury commendation for each before I announce the winner. So our first nominee is Gay Girl Prayers by Emily Austin. And the jury had this to say about Austin's Gay Girl Prayers. Emily Austin's collection, Gay Girl Prayers, is both funny and important, riffing on Bible verses to create a new queer classic, a beautiful, moving declaration of pride supported by a surprisingly deep interrogation and investigation of Scripture. Austin reproduces the lyrical logic of the Bible to proclaim and reclaim queer resistance and joy against the rise of a hostile Christo-fascist culture. Expertly focused, and a book that judiciously says only what it needs to, this collection is both succor and supplication. It borrows holiness from every quarter and offers up to readers a feast of queer joy and liberation. It is irrepressible, irreverent, and impossible to separate from the tender affirmations and full-hearted witnessing of deeply connected queer relationships. The second book on our shortlist is Heliotropia by Menahel Benaquala. And this is what the jury had to say about Heliotropia. With form and language that surprises and delights, Menahel Benaquala has crafted a perfect set of love poems for our current moment. Heliotropia is a study of love over seasons and across time, distance, and space, serving up love letters to lovers, friendship, and the idea of love poetry itself. Aching in every syllable, Bendaquala's work is a masterclass in restraint that somehow contains the entire galaxy in its shimmering petals. Heliotropia maps the curiosity and joy of human experience across creased bedsheets, good earth, and the language of flowers. It invites readers across the threshold with arms spread wide in welcome, responding with an equally open heart is the only possible answer to this collection. And the final book on our shortlist is Crazy Mad by A.J. Dolman. In Crazy Mad, A.J. Dolman masterfully crafts a collection that will deeply resonate with anyone who has navigated the mental health care system. A cerebral yet plain-spoken collection, playful in its forms, righteous in its rage and melancholy, Crazy Mad obsessively compulsively navigates questions of privilege, voice, and perspective, sewn through with line breaks as smooth as lorazepam. This collection holds the shape-shifting nature of resilience and resistance in its hands, weaving poems into stories, field notes, and anthems of identity and disorder. It is an authentic, bracing, and intimate collection in which the idea of diagnosis is tied up as much with fear as with liberation, inviting the reader into a shared experience of rage, elegance, and instinct for survival. So this year I wanted to give it a bit more pomp and circumstance. So I'm going to ask David Curry to please hand me the gigantic envelope. So as I announce this year's winner, I will ask for a drum roll, please. Okay. So the winner of this year's Archibald Lampman Award is Heliotropia by Menahel Benaquala. Congratulations, Menahel.
I guess I can improvise something. Thank you so much to ARC, to the jurors. Congrats to Emily and AJ. ARC is such a special organization. So yeah, this is very, very meaningful. I love Ottawa. I love poetry. Thank you.
Congratulations, Menahel, and thank you everyone for coming out.
That felt fancy. Closing out the night it's such an honor to help launch this next person's book. Margo has been a great friend to me and a confidant, and now I get to tell you that Margo's poems in a jar, they navigate the physical and psychological dangers of womanhood through the flattening lens of mood disorder. From the emergency room to the pharmacy to the fertility clinic to the discomfort of home and memory, this collection humanizes bipolar psychosis. I only received my copy today, and I'm most of the way through it, and it's lovely. It is so tellingly insightful about a thing that I know about. So Margo's new book has already made the most anticipated poetry books of 2025. And on October 31st, she's hosting a Halloween party for a jar alongside Nicola Volpe, is that it? And Jason Purcell at Happy Goat on Laurel at 7 p.m. I'm tempted to go because I never have a reason to wear my Halloween costume. I only have one, and it's a Santa suit. Please welcome Margo LaPierre.
Thank you so much, David, and thank you to the Ottawa Writers Festival for having me, as well as Bywords and ARC here tonight. What an amazing party. I'm looking around and wow, it's very packed. This is awesome. And yes, there is a Halloween party, Happy Goat, October 31st. There is a theme of haunting and of ghosts throughout my book, A Jar. And so I thought, how much fun would it be if we were to have a costume party and encourage people to dress up as ghosts, if you would like. You can dress up as other things, but the caveat is that the best ghost, judged by a silent coven of judges, will win a manuscript assessment by me. So that could be poetry or fiction. So I really encourage you to come. To party, to celebrate with Nicola Volpe. Jason Purcell will be reading as well alongside myself, and Ellen Chang Richardson will be hosting, so you know it's going to be fun. Come out on Halloween. I think as adults sometimes we lack the Halloween parties that we used to have, so you know, let's do it. A Jar. I wrote this book about bipolar disorder, about suicidality, specifically my bipolar disorder, and my overcoming suicidality. So there is this very much an intense book. Yeah, it is an intense book, but it is a positive one in the end because, you know, I'm still here and I'm still thriving. So one of the things, the first night really that I was kind of inducted into this whole bipolar thing where I was able to get a diagnosis, it was in 2008. And I kind of reached the cresting of a delusion that was part of a psychosis that I didn't realize I was having, but it was that I had access to all of my timeline within my life, so that literally every moment within the bounds of my own life was happening simultaneously. And so in my own way of perceiving my life, my death would not have changed anything. Everything was already there. And so, unfortunately, what this looked like for me is that I did attempt suicide, and I was very lucky that I was able to survive. In my subsequent research, I've actually discovered that kind of at the crossroads of physics and philosophy, there is a theory called the block universe theory. And there's a physicist, Sabine Hossenfelder, who really is a proponent of this theory as well. And it is that it is quite possible, maybe even probable, that outside of our subjective experience as humans, that the universe is actually structured so that every single moment is simultaneous. So if we were to imagine the universe, our world, as a comic book, and we can see all the panels. And as we're reading a comic book, we know that those are subsequent. But actually, in this block universe theory, all of those panels are happening simultaneously. And so one of the things that I was able to protect myself from some of the psychotic delusions that I've had is not what is true, because sometimes the weirdest theories can can be true potentially, right? That it's very easy to try to prove something right, but whether it's pragmatic. And William James was a philosopher that was really there for me. William James wrote Pragmatism in the mid 1800s, and William James was a big believer in being able to change your mind. And the thing is that suicide is like the ultimate in not being able to change your mind anymore. By the way, William James believed this so much, I believe he changed his son's name when his son was like 7 years old. Amazing. Maybe not for the son. But what I would like to say here today is that I'm really, really, really happy that I am still able to change my mind, that I am still here, and that we are all here together, and that we all have the capability to change our minds and to keep on doing so. So let me read from this. And one more thing that I will say when it comes to living all of the moments at once, there is this idea that as long as we can survive, we are never alone, because that person looking back in our memories and looking back at the past us is there for us. And that maybe when we look back at our past selves and our past memories, we're actually there for that younger person, and we're actually loving that person and taking care of that person. So if we can think of that right now, that we are all sitting with every version of ourselves and loving that person right now. So there are poems from here that are centos, which means that I've borrowed lines from other poets. And there are several poets in this room whom I've borrowed lines from, including Stuart Ross, Chris Johnson, and I'm not sure if Pearl Puri is here, but if she is, then Pearl, you're in this one as well. This is called Cento for Pyrokinesis. What is real is taking the unreal. What's to come? Exhaust smog, like doubts upon the world, acting as if the front door slamming and undulating in the cool air stream, scraping the lavender sky, nestles round the scalp, a vague thing, a pity object, a wreath, the color of howling light. So the next poem I'll read is a letter to a character from a TV show. I always find it interesting in TV shows and movies with bipolar characters, like who gets it right and who doesn't, and a lot of the times they just don't get it right. This is a character who I felt got it right. So if you've seen a trailer for the show Euphoria, give a little woo. Okay, that's good, that's good. And I'll just mention, a lot of the times the bipolar characters in movies are not actually bipolar in the actual show, and they're not written to be bipolar. I just watched the show and I'm like, that person's bipolar. So Bradley Cooper in Limitless, bipolar. Also in Silver Lining Playbook, he played a good character there as an actual bipolar character. Another one, Arrival, so based on the story of your life by Ted Chiang. Amy Adams, bipolar. So just next time you watch those movies. This is Dear Rue. From the first episode of Euphoria, you tell it straight. Bipolar's a baseline discomfort. Correction by meds taught you to seek spectral highs. The gateway, not weed, but prescription. Chemistry tidy as glitter bombs. You got out of rehab on summer break, and going back to friends, they said, I thought your ass was dead. Huh. To rise dancing from a pool of vomit, only to be shunned. How even Misha Barton said of Marissa Cooper, my character has been through so much, and there's really nothing more left for her to do. I'm pretty sure you'd stand with me and say, Misha, screw you. I want to say, I've never felt so seen on a TV screen. And I love the way you love your sister fierce. I swigged your glee when you fired rounds into a bound and blazing villain. I smelled the gasoline. What plane are you on? Of existence. I know you're fiction, but I'm grateful you exist. So this is my last poem. I'll keep it short because we've been here all night. By the way, congratulations, Manahil, on winning the Archibald Lampman. This one is called Hysterosonogram. So while I was writing this book, I'm writing it about bipolar disorder, but also all of the things that come along with that for me. So especially things associated with my being a woman. It was different for me taking certain medications and being a woman, especially my reproductive health, the gendered violence and the way that I responded and experienced that. And so all of these things were filtered through in a different way than they would be for a cis man. And so one of those things that I was writing about was infertility and the fertility treatments that I was going to, and being someone who takes lithium. And there's, a whole lot that goes into that. But the book was ready to go. It was all finished. And I had written about my infertility, and I actually found out I was pregnant. I had given up years before. And so the kind of coincidence, this book and my baby have the same birthday. So when I was almost 30 hours into labor, and I just got the epidural, so anyone who has had one and been through labor, I was feeling really good. I'm going to check my emails. So I got an email from my publisher, my amazing publisher, Mike Marola, and said, here's the proofs to the book. We need you to proofread for us. And I said, Michael, I answered him back. I did answer, I'm in labor. When do you need this by? And he answered back right away. He said, 10 days. So I did. I got it done in 10 days. And I just want to say, I'm just going to do a little bit of self-promo for my editing. If you don't notice a typo in this and you need a manuscript edited, you should come to me, because I actually proofread this in the first 10 days of my baby's life. Thank you. Hysterosonogram. I have seen 3 perinatal psychiatrists this month. Each one's advice goes against the others and everything I've been warned about for a decade. Their questions of my history make me red with light inside. It aches. I wear a sheet while the doctor inserts a catheter, balloon. On the monitor, my uterus, a planet where hurt is mother tongue. Light skidding over valleys and ridges, a sight resistant to damage. Light blipping over ova and striated flesh, pomegranate gems. Afterward, a neighborhood walk. The 5 p.m. sun will slick eaves troughs golden starburst windows. I will bring my face into the flares above the hard snow, my body booming with old griefs. I was told there would be pain. It's not the pain I remember. The pain I remember hooks like light through an open stitch. Ahead, in the sky, a percussion of pigeons. Ahead, in the street, a leashed dog. Thank you, everyone. See you October 31st.
What an incredible way to end the night. Let's give it a round of applause for everybody who was on stage today, except me. And thank you to ARC, thank you to Bywords, thank you to Amanda, to Charles, to Chris Johnson, to, you. And I would like to end with a poem that I think might be from Archibald Lampman. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you might miss it. You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go. Good night, everybody.